Shalom and welcome to the White Robes Family Channel. My name is Symmanayah, and these messages, I believe, will stir and be encouraging to those who are looking for something refreshing or something encouraging. In this message, I want to present to you the mall moved. Yes, the mall moved. Consider the shopping experiences in the mall. I realize some of the younger people probably say, what's a mall? Because they are becoming more and more extinct depending on where you live. But let's unpack this. You might be surprised what this subject matter presents as it relates to growing in maturity and set-apartness. Come with me, my brothers and sisters. Let's unpack it. In the scriptures, it is written that we have an outward man and an inner man. Much of our habits have come from mental programming of the outward man. Yes, from our homes, our schools, our neighborhood, communities, fellowships, or assemblies. There's a lot of things that influence how we govern ourselves, including that spiritual battle we face, seeking to obey the Almighty Father. Let's continue. We have been influenced by our parents, our guardians, home, neighbors, community, schools, sports assemblies, etc. Beyond these influences are the wiles of Satan. You see, we may have all these different things that influence us. Sometimes they take us while we're unaware of how we adapted to certain habits, developed certain behaviors. But it's time, my brothers and sisters, for us to be more aware of what's influencing our action and how. In an effort to distract us from set-apart teachings, the mall experience is now very easy. You see, I submit to you, it is a more mental preference than it is that physical experience in the mall. In times past, we were infatuated with many stores all under one roof, called the mall. That infatuation led us to shopping, sometimes undisciplined. It led us to being able to get so many things under one roof and enjoying that convenience. Now, technology has enlarged the shopping experience. Thus, the mall moved. Yes, the mall moved. Our shopping habits have been infused in our search for set-apart growth and development. In other words, how we shop for stuff, how we look for things. Believe it or not, how we shopped in the malls, looking around, using our eyes and ears, seeing who we would come in contact with. Those behaviors spilled over when it came to pursuing set-apartness. We did more looking and listening than praying. Programmed mentally to just look, listen, and discover who's around. Those habits may not be the best of habits, or at the least, the best approach. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying let us be mindful of what's influencing us, my brothers and sisters. We are learning the convenience of technology, but there are many among us searching, shopping for truth, using many different ways. Even skill sets we learn in shopping in the mall or shopping online. Sometimes finding ourselves going down a rabbit hole of distractions, my brothers and sisters. The mall moved, but it brought with it shopping habits, habits that spilled over. I cannot stress that. The mall shaped our search for stuff, but now the mall moved. In its move, the habits for searching for what we desire remained. I submit these habits spilled over the way we look for truth. Some of us look for the truth by looking through so many different books, so many different translations. We get caught up on trusting our academic prowess, our cognitive and mental skills, more so than discerning what does the Spirit has to say as we read these letters, this text. There's a difference, my brothers and sisters, because we would run into being overwhelmed, confused, or conflicted at the very least. Let us be mindful, my brothers and sisters, of Ephesians 4th chapter. This is one of those that talk about the many members. I want to read 11 and 12 right now. And he himself gave some emissaries and some prophets and some evangelists and some shepherds and teachers for the perfecting of the set apart ones, to the work of service, to building up the body of Messiah. My brothers and sisters, it's about understanding this body, that the Spirit guides us in building ourselves up and building the nation, the set-apart nation of Yashar'al up. We must recognize that every individual is of grave importance, my brothers and sisters. And in doing so, it would make a big difference in how we govern ourselves, how we shop for the things we need, spiritually and naturally so. It goes on to say in 13 and 14 verse, until we all come to the unity of the belief and of the knowledge of the Son of the Almighty One, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the completeness of Messiah, to that which we should no longer be children tossed and borne about by every wind of teaching, my brothers and sisters. Let's not just go on this so-called shopping spree, even though the mall moved and we shop online. Some of us get to shopping and going, and we find ourselves in areas or categories that was not our original intent. I believe we have those same habits when it comes to searching for set-apartness. It says, so that you should no longer be children tossed, borne and about by every wind of teaching, by the trickery of men and cleverness unto craftiness of leading astray. Yashar'al, discipline comes in many ways. It helps sharpen and refine us. It goes on and say in the 15 and 16 verse, I'm still in the 4th chapter of Ephesians, but maintaining the truth in love, we grow up in all respects into him who is the head, Messiah, for whom the entire body joined and knit together by what every joint supplies, according to the workings by which each part does its share, causing growth to the body, for the building up of itself in love. Yashar'al, you may think that this title has no bearing or connections, but sometimes that's when we are attacked, where we least expect it. We tend to shop with our eyes and sometimes our nose. What is important is to develop searching habits different from shopping habits, not just what we see or smell or even hear, but enjoy the importance of prayer. Praying, my brothers and sisters. If we allow ourselves to be seduced by what we see and smell, we become at risk of being led astray. Taking habits of the natural and practical and applying it to our spiritual growth is not always a healthy thing. The scriptures present the need to avoid being led astray. Though the mall move, let us pursue habits and behaviors that better equip us for moving through these trying times, my brothers and sisters. Let's look at the habits we have acquired and how did we acquire those habits. Let's learn to manage these earthen vessels, set priorities, know how to respond, know how to search and seek out the things that are necessary for growing in set-apartness. My brothers and sisters, who has given thought to how people can and will be led astray? You know, we read scriptures and we glaze over it, but we don't say, well, how is that going to happen? It is time to be prayerful and work at being rooted in set-apartness like never before. Remember these words, my brothers and sisters. Matthew 24, 4 and 5 tell us, and Yahusha answered and said to him, take heed that no one leads you astray. See, we read that, we glaze over it, but we don't say, okay, what methods, what tools, how can this come to be? For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. Some people by saying the Messiah told me, or the Most High told me, or Yah told me, the Ruach HaKodesh revealed to me. And some people will say that with confidence, but not embrace the need to recognize confirmation or reaffirmation. Not realizing that if they're wrong, correction and discipline will come. Whether they want it or not, if they're pursuing the will of the Almighty Father, discipline will come if you belong to Him. And I'm reading scriptures from the eSword, the scripture version 2009. He goes on to say in the 6th and 7th verse, 24th chapter of Matthew, and you should begin to hear of fighting and reports of fighting. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. So much is about to come and unfold before us, my brothers and sisters. What habits are we using to better equip ourselves? What habits do we need to change to be better prepared? For nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food and deadly diseases and earthquakes in places. My brother, my sister, things move around, things move about. How we seek out our needs and wants make a big difference to how we will respond when intense times ramp up. It goes on to say in the 8th through the 10th verse, Matthew 24th chapter, and all these are the beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. What do you think we're supposed to do? That's why it's so important to watch over the different habits we have, for searching and seeking out the things that are necessary, the things that make us stronger. Goes on to say in the 11th through the 13th verse, still the 24th chapter of Matthew, and many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. How? If we develop poor habits, we could easily be seduced, my brothers and sisters. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. So many reasons why we should be aware of the changing things around us. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. My brothers and sisters, many people take this verse to think that no one is saved until the end. Now this is saying he who has endured to the end, he who is physically alive is saved from that destruction that is to come. Salvation and being saved begins with the Spirit of Yahusha indwelling us, with us awakening, realizing that we have chosen to worship and obey, to do the desires of the Almighty Father. As a result of John 6:44, Yahuah drawing us to him. So don't let someone say, well, if that was the case, where does belief come in? If we don't know until the end, till we face physical death, then we say, oh, I'm saved. No, brother. What then is your confidence in walking and pursuing set-apartness? There will be those among us who will take heed to avoid being led astray, and those who will not. Others may take the route of avoiding end-time destruction by seeking refuge, thinking that it's just about hiding, being in a safe place. Let us trust and believe what the Almighty Father has in store for us and learn to recognize our end-time assignments. Keep in mind what to expect, my brothers and sisters. End times will get intense. And the first messenger sounded, and there came to be hell and fire mixed with blood, and they were thrown into the earth. Thrown to the earth. And a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. Revelation 8:7. Does that sound like something we need to get away from? Does that sound like something we need to be mindful of how we search and look, how we shop around for where we're supposed to go, what we're supposed to do? I can use shop, search, or look. When we look at the seed, when we examine the seed, the functions are the same. Revelation 9:15, Esau, the scripture version, say, and the four messengers, those having been prepared for the hour and day and month and year, were released to kill a third of mankind. This is why we need to look at all our habits, shopping habits, searching habits, how we look up things, to better equip ourselves for being in the right place at the right time with the right person. It would be to our best interest to understand what to do during such times as described in the scriptures. Times that bring about death and destruction. Times that bring about unification of a set-apart nation. We have many habits and we pursue many interests. It's time to select what's best, my brothers and sisters. It's time to establish priorities beyond shopping interests, beyond just searching, but praying. Rest assured, my brothers and sisters, there's much work to be done. There's a lot of things that connect that sometimes we don't even imagine. We do it in a knee-jerk reaction. The mall move was to bring light to how much our interests have been shaped by our buying habits and conveniences. And when our interests are shaped based off of one habit, sometimes that habit do spill over. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, the title of this message may seem quirky, but if we take a strong look at the message, one just may agree that shopping habits tend to bleed over into our daily interactions and habits that we have today. The mall move is one of many change fascinations that influence our social behaviors. It is time to assess what or who makes us tick, so to speak. It is time to recognize the many influences in our lives, lest we be found among those led astray, O Yashar'al. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, look around, look in the mirror, have the discussions. When we learn how to examine the functions behind words, things will appear to make more sense. Though I use the title of the mall move, the influences of these words affect our behaviors if gone unchecked. Yashar'al, my brother, my sister, my family, we got work to do. We got things to learn. We got habits to come away from and good habits to embrace. Rise up, my brothers and sisters. We will begin to recognize many ways to obtain wisdom and discipline in this set-apart walk. The mall move represents just one of many things to consider to guard against unrecognized influences. On that note, my brothers and sisters, that's all I have for this subject. But just think about the behaviors that influence how you search, how you seek out things, whether it be material, practical, or spiritual, and fine-tune that search, that shopping experience, that query. If you listen from beginning to end, I salute you. I pray that you got something out of this message that encourages you to not be boxed in when it comes to growing in set-apartness. Learn the dynamics of what is expected from the Almighty Father. On that note, my name is Symmanayah. I thank you. Stay tuned. There's much more to come. There's a lot of work ahead. Be encouraged, my brother, my sister, my family. Shalom.